Hello friends and fellow travelers. What makes me so excited about what's coming? Well, let's just focus on one single chart because it really doesn't matter. As you will see over the time, I will show you each chart of importance shows the same thing. Bottom line. It's just the fractals are arranging in a different way, but they're all super positive, super exciting. Let's just focus on one of the key charts yearly, which is predicting the alignment to the greater galaxy, laying the ground each year. That is on December 19th. It will be every year a little different, sometimes 18th, sometimes 17th. Depending on the leap years, when the sun aligns exactly with the galactic center, with the central sun, which is the center of our galaxy at 2709, it is at present in Sagittarius. This is a super important moment. It's a recharge moment of the whole solar system's perception we have from Earth. Because it's all about perception. So on that day, at that time, as seen from Earth, the sun lines up perfectly, is in front of the galactic center. Therefore, the energy coming from the galactic center is filtering through the sun, which means it's colorating the transformation into physical energy. That's what it is. It's transformer station, if you want, which is reformulating, repositioning this ephemeral energy and tone it down to a level where it can be used. So this just is super exciting. Let's just start with the most obvious, the 29-degree 42 Libra moon here with a very exact conjunction with Haumea, 1 degree is in between, flanking the ascendant in the last degree of Libra. So this is a super refined societal place we are at here at the very last degree of Libra. This is in the 64 hexagram overlay. This is hexagram 50, the cauldron where precious food is prepared. That's kind of the picture you get here. And whatever comes out of it is cooked properly and is delicious, and it nourishes you, and it gives you that experience of a cultural excellence. In the Sabian Symbols again, by Dan Rudyard, the edition, which goes back to I forget his name, you probably know, Jones, right. Edward Jones, who was the medium who received all these oracles in the 1920s, and then Rudyard was the one who then analyzed them and got to the really bottom of them and showed the amazing synchronicity. I mean, you have to take into account these oracles were given randomly. Neither the person who handed them over to the medium, and it was actually a lady, a woman who worked with, her name was Wheeler. So anyway, it's a random sequence, and it shows an amazing structure which couldn't be expected other than higher dimensional wisdom having been tapped into and accessed and provided. So let's read the last degree of Libra. I really have rediscovered this treasure of the Sabian Symbols, and I want to share that with you here. That is Libra, the 30th degree, 3 mounds of knowledge on a philosopher's head. The keynote, the fulfillment of man's power of understanding at whatever level of existence the person operates. A true philosopher is a man who is able to understand, not merely know. So this implies wisdom at its highest level, which is different from science, because science derives knowledge from analytical means, which are always exterior, versus wisdom is coming from within. So this is the key word here. Rudyard gives it holistic approach to knowledge. So this in itself is super auspicious. Interesting that, I mean, let's just look at the chart a little bit in a bigger way first. Look at the opposition of the black moon and Pluto, which actually is on its way out. It's separating. It will be exact just a couple days prior, and remember, this is pretty much the exact degree where the United States nation's Pluto is natally, 2732. So what you have here is, in these last weeks of the year, the black moon will oppose the natal Pluto of the American nation. This in itself shows this is the height of the clash. This is the exposure of the shadows and all the dark stuff which goes around that. The moon is T-squaring these two, and naturally at the powerful place at the ascendant, representing that immediacy, the emotional guidance. It's the moon just rising over the eastern horizon. This is a super powerful moon, the moon representing the people. However, the moon is void of course. This is the interesting little twist. So whenever there's a void of course moon, it is a uncharted sea, I guess is the best way to say it. It's you might have ideas, but you might have to adjust big time to these ideas, because things might develop in a different way than you had foreseen them. Every few days the moon goes void for a few hours or a day or so, and it's usually a time when there's some confusion hanging around. It's one of the most powerful ways of understanding the power of the zodiacal signs, of the structure of the tropical zodiac, how this really works. Pretty much each time when the moon goes void, we're going into this zone of right brain, non-logical. Very often appointments don't fall in place, or people are late, something gets in between, or whatever you choose to decide on or buy will turn out later to be obsolete or futile or an unnecessary expense, things like that. So this is a little secret for those of you who on a daily basis watch what the moon is doing when it's void of course. It's usually marked with a V /C, and then naturally until the moon enters the next sign. So that can be anywhere between a few minutes to up to 2 full days, depending on which the degree is of the planet it has its last aspect with. So here Pluto would have been the last aspect here, the last major aspect, which is in this case a square. The moon is 2.5 degrees past Pluto. That is probably roughly 5 hours earlier. The moon went void of course, and will be for another half hour or so before entering Scorpio. Now on top of all that, there is Haumea. Haumea is a very fast spinning rugby ball in the Kuiper Belt, one of the so-called Cubivanos, named after QB1, which was the first of that category, which are non-resonant with either Pluto and the inner planets, nor with Neptune and the inner planets. Sorry, I said that wrong. Either with Pluto, nor with the inner planets, nor with any other. They are not in resonance. So they're kind of as a group, they are kind of the detached observers, you could call them. Haumea is one of them. Haumea is a creation god, all about reform and new beginnings in the first degree of Scorpio. Super potent. Haumea actually enters Libra for the first time just a couple weeks earlier or so. We will get to that chart down the road. Super powerful chart too. I mean, I have too many charts really I wanted to share with you. That's why usually my broadcasts get a little long. So I'm trying to limit the amount of charts I'm talking in each broadcast. Like I said, we'll bring it a little bit to a shorter, more overseeable and understandable place. As I understand, people have told me I'm just sharing too many things at once. You cannot absorb it. Sorry about that. You will get used to it. Okay, now the Sun at 27 degrees 2, like Pluto, like the Black Moon, like Earth. So there's a structure here of 27 going on. So this further enhances this Pluto Black Moon opposition. And then we have a sextile to Jupiter and another sextile to Sedna, and then closing in on a sextile to Black Moon. So there's lots of sextiles. Sextiles are friendly energies which relieve the tension of this opposition, of any opposition when we have sextiles or trines in between. They're kind of channeling the energy in a more smooth way. And the Pluto sextile to Jupiter and to Neptune, it's within a range of both, is super beautiful. It is a fast and easy evolution which is indicated here, with lots of promise and great ideas coming from a deep place. It's kind of, Neptune is in this last phase of Pisces before we enter the hexagram, which crosses them over, which is 25. So the last one fully immersed in Pisces is 36, which is darkening of the light, which is really the kind of going back to the roots of everything and subsiding from one plane and transmuting into the next one. Anyway, I wanted to read you the Sabian symbol. I'm easily getting sidetracked, as you know. It's just too many things. Oh yeah, I did that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, next one. A trine. From Pluto to Zeta. Right, that trine is on already for a few years, getting more exact. This is a saving grace of what we're presently navigating through as a human race. Sedna, in a way, you could say, was one of the main assets of the dark forces, hijacking this energy of Sedna, turning it into a nightmare of separation and anguish and despair, and you name it, all the loneliness and darkness, that is all very related to Sedna, and we had that trine now, which brought that whole scheme into a it was actually able to lift it to a higher level of experiencing it, because it gave it the experience of evolution. That trine is a trine at its best is always complementary, smooth. It's two forces which are helping each other to become more complete, more full. So Pluto really has been helping and is further helping. Actually, the first trine will only get exact by early 2023. This time, just a month or so ago, Pluto just started turning backwards again, about 10-15 minutes of arc before reaching the exact aspect. But naturally this is an extremely close range, so we have felt that energy already, certainly through the past year. It has been building. It will be a strong presence next year, that we are evolving on the back of all that tragedy. That's basically what it means, into a much, much higher frequency band. And Jupiter here in the middle is the confirmation. Jupiter has that perfect square to Hygeia. Hygeia here in the first place conjunct the Sun. Hygeia, health, well-being, one of the other key players in our whole journey of the last few years, naturally, all about health, well-being and serendipity and being at the right place at the right time. So again, this symbol had been hijacked by Sedna 2. That is I guess no, it's more serious, but Hygeia was involved in that too. Yes. But what I want to say is, conjunct the Sun, in the first place, it is conjunct also the galactic center. So here in Sagittarius, where it is now, this is giving this concept of health and well-being a spiritual meaning. It takes it to a whole higher level of definition. And I guess it's still in Scorpio right now, but heliocentrically it already is in Sag since a few weeks, I remember. If you go back through my recording, I will talk about it at some point. And they are all still relevant, these older recordings, because they always cover months of time ahead into the future, as well as it's a retrospective. It's always giving you that fractal, bigger picture of what's going on. Naturally, I focus on different planets, as there are too many to speak of all of them in every one recording, but over time you will get the full picture. So anyway, health, Hygeia, well-being in square with Jupiter, and in this aspect also this sextile to no, it's not it's a 30-degree angle here of Pluto, then a 90-degree angle of Jupiter, and a 120-degree angle to the 7th house cusp, 150 to Sedna. So most harmonious it is here with the 7th house cusp, which is again a place of how we handle, how we meet with the world. It's a part of the horizon. The horizon on the east side is who am I in this form, defining oneself, coming new into the world, kind of that sunrise point. The sunset is the completion, is the integration into the social sphere. And then we have here the part of fortune here coming from early Virgo, making a complete trine. This is again very auspicious, with the moon here in between. If you look at it the other way, is sextile to Hygeia. And then the moon also here in a yod with Jupiter and Sedna, which are flanking the descendant. So Jupiter Sedna, first of all, again is a healing from all that difficult and dark manifestations Sedna had upon society and every person individually. Sedna, for those who are new to this character, has been named after an Inuit goddess of the deep sea, who rules the whales and the sea creatures and is mute. And she came into being. She transformed from a heavily abused girl who was married to a raven because she had despised of all the contenders. Her father had brought her home, so finally that's one way of the story. There's several ways, but that's one way. He was so annoyed with her, he put her on a boat and brought her to that island and married her pretty much to a raven who was abusing her. Naturally, it's a different frequency band altogether. The father then wanted to go and save her, had good intentions, and on the way back the waves became so high because the raven had discovered it and was forcing the sea to produce a storm. The father became afraid. He threw his daughter overboard, and when she was holding on to the rim of the boat, he used his paddle to knock her fingers off, which then became the sea mammal. So it's a really difficult, dark, complex story. But Sedna here will be healed, will be integrated into evolution and understood as a integral part of where we have come, because everything in our lives, and this is true collectively too, every experience is important, valid, and once you truly understand that, then forgiveness is easy. Then you embrace all these situations, you give them thanks, and by doing that you resolve and you let go and you move on, because you understand you're standing on top of that. This, whatever the situation was, whatever the grief, the loss, the rage, you have matured through this. We have matured through this. This is the real understanding, and this is transformational. And again, with this philosophical degree, the moon here, this is super auspicious that yes, as a humanity we will get to this point. We are transcending darkness and shadows and conflict. The moon is separating not just from the black moon here by a 90-degree aspect, it is also separating from Pluto. It is only still approaching the 150-degree angle to Jupiter, getting closer on that 42-52, you see. Other than that, it also left behind Sedna's perfect aspect. It is still going closer to the ascendant. The ascendant is still going closer to Jupiter. So this is... I guess I can feel the excitement whenever something closes in on Jupiter. It is that magnetism of that greatness, the grandiose nature of Jupiter. And now, I mean, you can't make this much bigger. Jupiter in the very last minutes of the zodiac at 29:52 in Pisces. truly having matured through the 360 degrees. Jupiter had been going retrograde any time between, I guess, October and November. So Jupiter has turned the corner, comes back now here by December 19. It is just about to tap into Aries for the second and definite time. So this is extremely rich, this degree. It is really the summing up of the whole zodiac. It's the great harvest, if you would say, before rebirth. Extremely beautiful. It really shows that we can carry forward, onward, all the treasures of our past, all the history, all the accomplishments. This is all conserved in a time capsule, if you want. Nothing can destroy that. This is almost certain with what we can see here. I mean, there's so much more to this chart. Let me just point out a few more things. We have Mars here in a semi-square to the black moon, 45 degrees, in a 135-degree angle to Pluto, giving its male, decisive force, its impetus, its feistiness into this structure. Also the 165 degree between Mars and the Sun. 165 is an interesting angle. Actually, I guess Noel Thiel, wrote a book on that and says this is a super important angle in any chart. It shows that last stage before completion, a true challenge on one end, but also an amazing creative tension. And that same aspect of 165 we see here between the Mercury and the black moon, Venus and the black moon. I guess it's more close to that. Also, Pallas here close to the black moon. This still getting more exact for a third time, I guess. Yes, most certainly there were also two conjunctions here already in these months before December 19, some of them coming up right now in the next short while, as we are in August as I'm recording this. It's the last day of August today. So the third one is still looming, which is the complete understanding of darkness. Pallas is the integrative ability of complex mental structures, wrapping your mind around a big pool of information. And it is information at this point. It is coming in through the absorptions of other people's experiences, and we are then distilling that out, but we still have to transform it into wisdom, which are other factors representing of mostly Arrokoth here at 21, Capricorn together with Helonome, which is another one which I should definitely mention. Arrokoth is for the second time in hexagram 61 and will be in here for the next 5 to 6 years. 61 inner truth. It is the two strong lines at the outer edge above, at the outer edge below, and the two broken lines at the center, which really show you the honing in on the essential, on the heart of the matter, as a bigger symbol. If you reduce it down, if you reduce the two 1 on in each section. Then you have the 3 gram of fire, a strong line above, a strong line below, and the weak in the middle, which is the power of light. In that sense, the hexagram 61 has the 2 strong lines at the bottom, the 2 strong lines at the top, and the 2 in the middle. So if you reduce it, as you see, you get the fractal of fire and light. Pluto has been in this hexagram for the last 5 or so years mostly. Has really allowed us to hone in on what is true and what not. Naturally, that we have the kind of the nemesis of that process, which Neptune has been playing as the great deceiver and reverting everything into its opposite, and being the voice of propaganda and whatnot. All that, which is definitely one of the roles Neptune plays in Pisces, where everything gets exaggerated, as Neptune is in its own sign, its own element. So it has boundless powers to play its tricks. And anyway, this is just one side of it. There's always thousands of layers of frequency bands a planet can express in. So let's see if I want to have a last comment here on this chart before I let you go with it. Well, I guess the sextile to Chiron is beautiful, and the nodes in the middle. Okay, this is very beautiful. This is another indication that as things are, we as a collective have taken on the evolutionary direction of integrating our shadows, integrating our wounds, and it's an active process. We're on track with it, with Uranus here at the North Node, very beautiful, pulling us along into this greater, higher, more elevated frequency band, which is so exciting. And it's in Taurus, bringing it down to Earth, making it real, giving it the shape of form. I really can't say anything about this chart which I do not like. Last but not least, Ceres here at 002 Libra, right at the beginning of this phase of societal integration, of restructuring, as Dane Rudhyar names this first phase of Libra, the restructuring of everything of society and bringing it into a social context. Ceres, the principle of unconditional love. And in that out of the sign, opposition to Jupiter in the late Pisces is so beautiful. This is almost overwhelming in itself, as there's such a rich source. I mentioned before, Jupiter has providing as a base, as a resource to Ceres. So true abundance is just months away, you could say, at this point. Yes, we still have to go through these next few months of build-up. It's a substantial build-up, we will see. Just earlier today I listened to Jacqueline Hobbs, Oracle Girl's September message. It's always very enlightening to hear her perspective. So she says it's basically 5% of people on this planet have kept their nature, and they are powerful like bears, and they are fighting for the freedom, the fire of freedom. And of the rest, whatever 95, whatever number that is, of those who have gotten compromised on some level by medical interactions by inserting synthetic material, turning them into potentially robots. But again, the physical body is so resilient. One dose was not enough, 2 doses were not enough, they need 3, 4, they need every few months, they need an upgrade to keep suppressing your natural biology. So anyway, about 95% have fallen at least for 1 or 2 of these injections. Jacqueline Hobbs says about 50% of those are now questioning of what they did. And they are just starting to wrap her mind around what happened. Still many are just baffled and speechless and motionless and unable to form any clear direction, but it is a building momentum. These people are starting to heal, integrate, understand, and join the 5 who have kept their original frequency, who are now all rebels and revolutionaries, who are not ready to cave in. So that's kind of the bigger setup. Now this is just like yeast in the dough. The dough is rising. So, and it is now going at a hyperbolic rate. It's pretty exciting place to be at in history right now. So again, I said it before, if you can stay as much away from that public scene as you can, build your provisions, be ready. There will be a few months of serious disruptions. Everything, the writing is on the wall. I mean, it's not a big mystery anymore. We have talked about it here, and many other voices have said the same thing. I have predicted it early on that we would go through quite a difficult year, the year of the big fight. I called it back in February, January, when it really started to come clear with the trucker big convoy. I mean, it's been an ongoing struggle. You naturally don't hear from that when you only listen to what they present you with. That's why it's so important to shut that black box off, or use it very deliberately for whatever chosen transmissions like this one, or direct news reporting from direct sources. Anyway, you get the picture. I'm super excited, and I see confirmation, as I say, wherever I go. The big achievement will become clear most likely around the end of February, end of March next year. Up to then, it's a gradual process. The height of the battle again will be anywhere between the end of October and the end of January. That's the window, so be ready. Thank you for joining and listening, and hope you enjoyed that, and please share it if so, and subscribe, give it a like. Yes, as we always say. Okay, thank you.